everyone, this is Payana and welcome to my channel. And in the event of the new Dolittle movie coming out at the cinema, I thought I would go back and talk about the original series of novels published by Hugh Lofting. And this is the first one, The Story of Dr. Dolittle, which was published in 1920. This is quite a nice example of the beautiful things that came out of the horrors of World War One, because Hugh Lofting was in the trenches during the war and he wanted to write home to his children, only he didn't want to write about the terrible things that were going on in the war or what was going on in between those terrible things, because it was too boring. So he decided to write stories for them, and so he made up these sort of cute children's stories which he would send back to his kids at home, and Dr. Dolittle was one of those stories. Dr. Dolittle is a physician, and a very good one, only he's losing all his patients because his house is full of animals. He has mice in his piano, an owl, a duck, a dog, he has a hedgehog and a parrot called Polynesia, and many other animals. The last remaining patient suggests that he become a doctor for animals, and his parrot Polynesia supports this wholeheartedly, and she explains to him that the animals have their own language, so he proceeds to learn it. And then word gets around that he's the best animal doctor in the land, and animals flock to his house in order to receive his treatments. One day, the doctor receives the visit of an organ grinder whose monkey is sick, and Dr. Dolittle is appalled by the conditions in which this animal lives, so he decides to adopt the monkey and names him Chi-Chi. Later on, Chi-Chi comes to the doctor and he explains to him that all his relatives in Africa have told him about a sickness that's going around all the monkeys and causing them to die. So Dr. Dolittle gathers some of his pets and embarks upon a ship to go to Africa in order to help the monkeys and cure them of this terrible disease. I think this novel is brilliant for a number of reasons. There is a very obviously strong issue of animal welfare in this, which you get to see with the monkey Chi-Chi and the organ grinder. There's also the question of animals in the circus, and bearing in mind that this was in like the early 1900s, when animal welfare wasn't really a thing. There was a kind of notion of it coming around at the end of the Victorian era, but it still wasn't like today. There wasn't this notion of like animals feel pain and they have feelings and they need to be respected. But this novel kind of really pushes that, because especially like you've got the circus animals, you've got a crocodile who arrives, who comes to live in his house because he can't bear to be in the circus anymore. And later on, Dr. Dolittle does have his own circus, but he insists that the animals shouldn't be kept in cages. They should be willing to perform and present themselves in front of an audience and not forced to do this, that they are not objects there in order to please people. They are real living creatures in their own right. And the fact that he's able to communicate with the animals means that they can tell him exactly what's wrong with them, and they also explain that like vets don't really try and figure it out. They just, okay, try this, try that, but that's it. And there is also this kind of notion that animals, they see human beings and kind of the technology that they have, they can build these extraordinary houses, they have cars, they have ships, but they are kind of stupid. Like they understand how to make things, but they don't understand how the world really works, and everything's all about money. And Dr. Dolittle does kind of push the point that none of what he does is for any kind of financial gain. He does these things because he thinks that's what it should be. And he even finds himself on a couple of occasions in quite a difficult way financially, but his idea of like, oh, money's just just something that's just a bothering thing. It doesn't really serve anything, but he needs it in order to feed and look after his animals. So there's a sort of reflection on that. He has a very kind of clear view on what justice should be. The question of morals, like human morality and ethics, comes into this, because when he lands in Africa, he lands in a kingdom and meets the local people who take him to the king, who explains to him that, he tells the king that he's come to cure the monkeys, but the king doesn't trust him and he makes his people lock him up because another white man came to this kingdom and they welcomed him, and then he killed all the elephants for their ivory and stole all their gold, and so they don't trust white men anymore. So this kingdom, the people of this kingdom, they're a setback, but they have a good reason for not trusting him. He is an incredibly warm and lovely character. He's overflowing with empathy and kindness, and he just wants to help, and he's not greedy in any way, and he has a very, sharp notion of justice. And I feel like, I haven't seen the new movie yet. I would like to. Have been promising my daughter to take her to the cinema for ages, so I think that's what we're going to see, because this is a kid's novel and the new movie is a kid's movie. But I haven't seen much of it, but I feel like they have really kind of captured the kind of understanding and empathetic and just human side of Dr. Dolittle, which previous adaptations of the story failed to do. Eddie Murphy's very funny, but I was disappointed by. I don't remember much of that movie because it was a very long time ago and I saw it. I was a kid, but I just remember being disappointed and like, this isn't what the character's about. This isn't what the story's about. It's not just about a man who could talk to animals. It's about so much more than that. So I have hope for this one. It's been slaughtered by critics, but I don't know. I'll see, basically. So yeah, I do really recommend the original book, the very first one, The Story of Dr. Dolittle by Hugh Lofting. It's so good. It's so brilliant. And for me, a brilliant novel is one that really stands the test of time. And this one does, which is quite sad in a way, because it kind of goes to show that the world hasn't really moved forwards that much in the 100 years that this novel has been around. But it's still nice to kind of read something like this and just feel so good about it, because it does really make you feel good. It's a very kind of happy story, and yeah, so that was The Story of Dr. Dolittle by Hugh Lofting. So that's it from me. I hope you enjoyed this. I will see you again soon, and in the meantime, have a nice morning, afternoon, evening, whatever. Do like, share, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you all soon. Bye-bye. You're beautiful, football.